Hello, so this video today is all about stem and leaf plots. Can you explain them, make them, and read them? So we're gonna look at different examples of what a stem and leaf plot even is, learn how to make them, and then can you answer questions if I give you a stem and leaf plot? Let's warm up because we will be using these skills today, finding the mean, median, mode, and range of this data set. So we'll pause the video. This is a review skill. Go ahead and try to find mean, median, mode, and range. And here are your answers to these. So remember, we find the mean by adding all the numbers up and then dividing by how many sets of data there are. How many pieces of data? Median, make sure you order them from least to greatest and then find the middle. Mode, whatever appears the most. And range, how far spread out is your data? The big number minus the little number. Please go ahead and use textbook page 350 to answer these two questions. What does a stem and leaf plot look like? And what part's the stem and what part's the leaf? We'll pause the video while you look. So it does say take notes here about how to make a stem and leaf plot. Again, we're making a stem and leaf plot. First, and we kind of are seeing a pattern here. It says order your data from least to greatest. And we noticed that we needed to do that for our other data as well. So it's a really good habit to get into. Every time you have a set of data, order it from least to greatest. Next, you're going to choose the stems and the leaves. And we can find that by this key down here. So the stem, for example, is 6, and the leaf would be 3. So we would have 63. So what that means is if my stem was 2 and the number over to the left was 5, that's 25. Or if I have a 4 and a 9, 49. So the big part here is choosing how am I going to break that data up? Fill in your stems and fill in your leaves. There's your stem and leaf plot. Every year I get the question, well, what happens if you have the number 425? Well, you need to figure out how do you want to break that number up? Do you want to do a 4 and then a 25? Do you want to do a 42 and then a 5? And it's really going to depend on what other numbers are in your set of data. We'll pause the video to have more time to write this down. So we're going to make our first stem and leaf plot here together. Remember, the first thing to do is order your data from least to greatest. So now that we've ordered it from least to greatest, we need to pick out what our stems should be. So for example, I have 7, 9, 10. I've got it in order. And if I look, I've got some single digits, but then I really have here some 10s, some 20s, 30s, and 40s. So I think a good idea would be to order them or keep my stems in that. Single digits, 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. So I'm going to scroll down here just a little. So when I make my stem and leaf plot, my stems are going to go over to the left. So I have that 0, 1, 2, 3, and we said 4. So when we're putting our leaves on, here was our stem. Now for my leaf, I have 2 numbers that are going to be in that 0 column, those single digits. So I'm going to put 7 and then a comma 9. My next section was the 10s. When I'm writing the 10, I'm not going to write the 1 in front of it. I'm just going to write a 0 because I already have the 1 right in front of it there. Then my 2, same thing. I'm just going to put the 2 because the 1's already written, making sure I put commas in between. Now I look at those 20s and I have 20, 24, 26, and 28. And I'm writing all of them, but again, without the 2's because I already wrote the 2's. Same thing with my 30s. I have a 31 and a 32. And my 40s, I have a 40 and a 47. And what we do up here is we write, here's our stem, and here's our leaves. We do want to make some sort of a key. And basically to make a key, you just pick any number. I'm going to pick 31. And I'm going to say 30 line 1 really means 31 pages. So this helps anyone that's reading it really see, okay, so a 3 on this side and a 1 on this side, well, you just shove them together and it helps them read that stem and leaf plot. What I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and try this one on your own. We'll pause the video while you work. And your stem and leaf plot should look something like this. And how'd you do on this? Did you have your stems range from 0 to 5? One thing I really want to point out is yes, there were no sections in the 2 column, but as you can see, I still put a 2 there. I just didn't put any numbers next to it. You do want your numbers to go in consecutive order like that. You don't want to skip over the 2 column. How's your leaves look? Did you list them in order? And did you put commas in there? And then also, what about your key? Did you create some sort of key? And your key might not look exactly like mine, but did you pick a number and put it into a key so that people could read it? All right, so now we're going to learn how do you read a stem and leaf plot and how can you tell how the data is distributed. And you can answer both of these questions on textbook page 351. How do you read a stem and leaf plot and how do you look at the data? We'll pause the video while you look to learn. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at using a stem and leaf plot. So I have this stem and leaf plot here, and I can answer the questions based off this stem and leaf plot. So the first question says, how many data values are in the set? Well, what we want to do here is we want to look at, I have a 3, a 5, and a 6, a 22, 22, 25, 27, 28, 30, 33, 37, 39, and 39. So how many is that total? Well, I have 5 numbers here, I have 5 numbers here, and I have 3 numbers there, giving me 13 pieces of data or data values. What's my smallest value? Well, that'll be up at the first stem here. So my smallest value would be a 3. And my greatest value isn't a 9. It's in the 3 column, so it's a 39. Now we need to find the median. And medians are found the exact same way we did yesterday. So what we do is we look here at the smallest number to the biggest. I cross off the small, cross off the big, cross off the small, the big, the small, the big. Here it could get a little tricky. The next smallest number would be 22, 33, 22, 30, 25, and 28, leaving us that median at a 27. So since the numbers aren't in a straight line like they are when we find just a normal median with a set of values, we want to make sure we're following the order, though, in which the numbers are listed. The range we learned is the biggest number, which is 39, minus the smallest number. So 39 minus 3 is going to give us that 36. And then we've got, is the value 24 in the set? Well, I look in my 20 column, and when I look, I don't see the 4. So no, and my explanation can be something along the lines of, there's not a 4 in the 20 stem. All right, so go ahead and you try it by answering these questions based off of based off of, it does say here, number 7, make a stem and leaf plot. There's already one up there, so ignore that question. Let's just pretend that's not there. And here are the answers to this. Try it. So some of these trickier ones here we did not see before. This, which values occurs the most often. Well, I can see that when I look in this column, there are 2 1s, which means there's really 2 31s. How'd you do at reading a stem and leaf graph? We've got another practice one where we can try this reading the stem and leaf plot. So I'm going to pause the video while you try it. And here are your correct answers. So I answered these first 2 here for you, finding the mean, median, mode, and range. If it helps you to take it out of the stem and leaf plot and list them from least to greatest, you can do that, but it really is already listed from least to greatest. This next one, describe the distribution. So when I look here, most of my values are kind of in that 0 to 40 range. It's really 0 to 38, I would even say, if we're going to be a little more specific here. Most of the values lie in there. But then we've got one value down here. So I would say that the distribution lies from 0 to 38 for the most part. And I would say that it's pretty close together. This next one says, what's the outlier, if any? Is there an outlier? Well, yeah, we just said how this 59 is randomly just kind of out there on its own. So definitely that would be an outlier. So let's go ahead and look at another type of question. This is a standardized question. Which statement is not true? So I want you to talk with your table, read the 4 statements. One of these is not true. We'll pause the video while you discuss. When looking at this guy, I would personally say that A would be the least not true. When I look here, the value 20 is right here. When we do have a good majority, it's not all of them. We do have a couple values here. All right. We're going to do this activity in class and create a stem and leaf plot. All right, and now you have some homework, journal page 192. If you want any extra practice, you can use that there. Thanks.